Hello and welcome to the podcast Life Without Limits. So this is the podcast where we talk to interesting people who have been through tough times and come out the other side to achieve great things. So my guest today is Natasha Kaye. Now Natasha was traveling out in America when she was involved in a car crash where the car ran her over and resulting in her losing the use of her right side of her right arm and the left side of her left leg. So we're going to have a chat with her and hear about her story. Hi, Natasha. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Really good. Thanks. So, Natasha, tell
Good.
us a little bit about you and your story.
Okay, so I was kind of working in America on Camp America, and it was the last night, and the kids had all gone home. So obviously, a bunch of 18-year-olds were all going to party and hang out, and someone got a little bit over the limit, and she got involved. She got on a golf buggy, and she ran me over in the middle of the woods around 2 o'clock in the morning, and the general impact of the golf buggy threw me against the building, and I sustained some pretty bad injuries from it.
So, what happened? What after? So did you go underneath the golf buggy?
So basically, I was stood on like the porch of a building, and it came up and it hit me. So I flew back and I hit my head, and then it came on top of me. So obviously, the underneath of it kind of became a bit like knives, and kind of chopped into me a little bit.
Sounds very painful.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty painful. I kind of was in and out of consciousness at the time, although I do remember it.
So, what once you've been hit, what happened? Did they have to call an ambulance? Was you did they how did they help and get you to safety after that?
So one of my good friends at the time, he threw the golf cart off me, and he like took his top off, and he made a tourniquet around my leg. And another lovely lady called Holly basically did the same with my arm. My arm was 40% severed, so they were just doing their best to kind of, keep my limbs attached. And then we called for help. Obviously, we're in the middle of the woods in Wisconsin, so it's not really, the easiest access point. So they were going to try airlift me. That was quite difficult because of the weather conditions. So we ended up having to wait for an ambulance, which, I mean, in the middle of the sticks in America, kind of takes a long time.
So you was pretty much lying around for a good long time until any help came, really.
Pretty much, pretty much. I remember it being pretty painful. Also feeling numb, not really like very scared, not really knowing what was going on. I had a really good team around me from what I can remember, who tried to keep me as calm as possible and try and keep me alive, basically.
And so after all that, the ambulance came. Then you got into hospital. What happened when you got to hospital? What did they say?
Well, so I got taken to the first hospital, and obviously, I was like in and out of consciousness. They were trying to keep me alive. Um, when you start to shut down, your veins start to shut down. So I have a very vivid memory of them drilling into my leg. To try and get an access point for like an IV. But I just remember alarm me. I remember just mayhem and a lot of pain. But obviously, because I was going in and out of consciousness, it was quite. My memory is not great of the incident.
Yeah, that sounds really traumatic. So they kept you awake during the whole kind of process.
Well, yeah, I mean, I did. They did kind of have to, I think, resuscitate me at one point. I had a few blood transfusions according to medical records. I personally don't remember a lot of it, to be honest.
And then once after you've had the operation, what was the kind of rehab process? What did you have to do to kind of get yourself back?
So I woke up, God knows how long later. My parents had been flown out, and they were at the end of my bed. And I just
Oh
remember
wow.
being like, what the heck has happened? So they moved us out of the hospital. I was basically in kind of a full body cast. If you can imagine, I had my hand, which was in like a giant claw. I'd broken and pretty much mangled a lot of my body, dislocated a lot of it. My leg was in a full leg cast. And obviously I was in a wheelchair, just basically completely unable to do anything.
Wow,
They
that's
put us in
literally
this,
stuff you see on movies. It's really.
yeah. You imagine like the joke movie when someone's in the whole body cast. That was kind of me.
Oh wow. So how long did you have to spend in hospital after to recover?
Well, in America, they kind of try and get you out as quick as possible. As you know, the healthcare system there is very, very expensive. So
Yeah.
they moved me into a hotel with my parents. Um, and I had daily like meetings with the doctors and the hospital and, appointments and psychologists. Because I was probably pumped with so many drugs, it was a kind of a bit of a blur. I just remember my mum wheeling me around in this wheelchair. It was kind of like huge news in the town because it was such a small town in Wisconsin, that, if people saw me around, they were like, "Oh, that's the English girl." So it was quite funny, to be honest.
Do you remember the first thing that your parents said to you when you came round?
I don't actually, unfortunately.
Oh,
I
oh,
do remember them both like white knuckled at the end of the hospital bed, though.
oh. So how long until you had to fly back to England?
I think I was there like a few weeks in the hotel, until I was able to fly. So we were in the hotel. I remember a really funny story actually, because we were in farmers country. Like there was not really much going on. There was one strip mall, and I couldn't shower because I had all of these casts on me, right? So we asked the surgeon, we said to the surgeon, "Do you have anything that we can use to like cover the cast so like at least my mom could try and like shower me?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, that's fine." He goes, "Go to the local store and get some artificial insemination gloves," which is basically, the long gloves they use for cows. And basically it was like going to a Tesco's Express there and picking up these giant long gloves that they could put over my cast. And you know what? It worked.
Wow. Because
Yeah.
obviously when you're in a cast, you can't fly either, so you're kind of
Yeah,
just stuck there.
it was really, really difficult. The insurance company were incredible. They flew me home, first class, so I could lay down like flat.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, I mean, I don't really remember the journey because obviously I was still on a really heavy pain medication. Um, but yeah, I just remember having to pick which parent I liked better to come to first class with me.
And did the doctor say to you, "Oh, you'll probably never do this or do that ever again"? Did they kind of say to you what life in the future will be like?
Yeah, I think at the time when you're going through anything like that, people are very quick to jump on the things that you can't do, the things that you're not going to be able to do. And especially in America, because the suing culture is so big over there. They don't want to put a foot wrong and say, "Oh, you'll be able to do this," and then you can probably sue them because you won't be able to do it. So I just remember coming back with such a negative perception on life. Like, oh my God, I'd call myself really derogatory terms, like, I'm now a cripple. Because they'd say things like, "Oh, you might not, we're not sure if you'll be able to walk again. We're not sure, if your hand's ever going to work again." And it was all negative talk that didn't really give me the best like positive attitude in order to recover in the best way.
Mm. So mentally, it had a big effect on you as well because you start rejecting yourself and putting yourself down as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was if you think about it, I was 18 years old. It was the summer when I finished high school, just about to start university. It's when you're meant to have, your full life ahead of you. It's going to be an exciting change. And then your world crashes down, and the people that are meant to be around you that are helping you, they're not lifting you up. And if you've not got that support network around you, it's really, really difficult to find that strength within yourself.
Definitely, yeah. So all of this happened must have thrown like a spanner in your works for your future. You were supposed to go to university. So what happened with university?
Well, I deferred university for a year, being optimistic. And obviously, I didn't realize about the rehabilitation process. Obviously, I didn't have the same doctors and nurses and throughout the whole process. So it was a bit of a stop-start. So I didn't really know how long it was going to take me to recover and if I ever was going to recover. As you can see, I'm still 12 years later recovering. But yeah, I deferred the university for a year and I remember my mum made a bed on the sofa because I couldn't make it up the steps in her house. And I lived on the living room sofa for a good few months. And I didn't even think I thought about the future. I think I found myself in a real big depression. All my friends had gone off to uni, they'd moved on with their lives. And there was me in a full body cast, sat on my mum's sofa, unable to even brush my own teeth, basically.
How long was you in your cast for?
Well, with my leg, I had multiple surgeries. Once I came back to the UK, I had to have a lot of skin grafts because I was missing quite a lot of the lower limb, should we say. And my arm was in a cast for a lot longer because it was 40% severed. So in order for like the arteries and the tendons and everything to fully heal, you're in a claw for a very long time. And then slowly you can have hand physio and they kind of try and open it up again. But it was a long time. It was long enough, put it that way.
Yeah. And do you remember the first time you managed to start moving and start walking?
Yeah, I mean, I had my Zimmer frame. I always laugh about that because I had the first thing I could do was use my leg before my arm, but because I couldn't use my hand, I had this huge Zimmer frame with like an arm attachment. And I used to have to use my claw and strap it to this Zimmer frame at 18 years old, and like move around the house and, go around the coffee tables. And, you don't think about, accessibility in your own home until, you suffer with something like this. And you realize how difficult it can be just to get around. But I do remember the first time, like, I even went to the bathroom myself and it was like so liberating. And I think that probably took a good maybe 5 months for me to be able to, get up off the sofa, take myself, it was a long time for an 18-year-old who's usually generally fit and well, just to do a basic life task. It took a long time.
So it opened up this whole new world for you of seeing things a different way.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been like really understanding of other people and, disabilities and, health issues. I've always got empathy with them, but you can never truly understand and everybody's situation is different, but until you've been through something as drastic as that, you really don't have an idea. You can have all the empathy in the world, but you don't understand until you've been even close to it.
Yeah, definitely. But you've kind of, now it's 12 years later, you're now getting into fitness, you're now getting into workouts more. What kind of workouts and fitness stuff do you do?
Yeah, well, it's taken me 12 years to basically tell my story properly and actually try and create a platform where I can use my positive mental attitude now to like help others and like try and just give a bit of my positivity to everyone else. And until only recently, my hand was still quite clawed. And it was only recently I've reached out and found a surgeon that's willing to operate and a hand physio that's willing to help my hand. So it's actually working a bit better. So since then, I've started doing a lot of exercise. So it started off with reformer Pilates. with an amazing instructor called Jamie, who used to teach at Virgin Active. And Jamie was incredible. She understood like my body, and she really helped me in terms of getting back into fitness, because it was slow, it was small movements, and it was adaptable to suit my body. I try and run 5 kilometers as much as I can, nearly every day if I can, weather dependent, obviously, in this country. But when you get told that you might not walk again, and then you can walk, and then you can run, as you very well know, Ant, you're going to do it.
It's a great feeling, yeah.
And you're going to do it as much as possible to make sure that your body knows that you can do it, and you can continue.
And you're just kind of grateful for doing it, being able to do it.
Of course. I mean, just before you were telling me that you did the run yesterday, you know, sometimes you don't want to do it. It was pouring down with rain yesterday, but the fact that your body is able to do it, it's a different feeling.
It's 90% up here. It's in your mind. Your body will do what you tell it to do. You just have to tell it to do the right things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's all about learning that.
It's not raining.
and that's why I've set up this podcast, so we can share our stories to help others if they're stuck or in a rut, to get out of that, because there's always light at the other side. You just have to get through these hard times, and you'll achieve the great things just by pushing yourself to see what you can do.
And you know what I've figured out? Like, I used to really like 5K every day, every morning, and then some days, and you will know this, your mind might tell your body to do it, but your body's playing up that day and it doesn't want to. And that could be fatigue, or it could be part of your disability. And I've realized that, you know, some days, if you can only run 3K, sorry for the siren. Some days, shall I wait?
Carry on.
Some days, even if it's only 3K that you can run, like, I would like be so upset for the rest of the day, and I'd put myself down, and I'd be like, do you know what? I didn't do my 5K today. And I'm like, do you know what? 12 years ago, I didn't know I would even be able to stand up. So 3K is better than nothing. And you've got to 100%. Just always keep that positive mental attitude.
Exactly. Yes, definitely. And just sharing it with other people can help inspire others. So it's all about helping each other in life.
For sure. You never know what one person, you know, just a smile or just a little bit of energy can pick someone else up. And maybe that's why I created I Will Thrive, because, you know, just one piece of like little good energy, you can push someone to succeed in life.
So explain to us what I Will Thrive mean then.
So it took me a long time to tell my story. And when I decided I did, obviously I needed a platform. I needed a brand per se. You know, I'm not trying to be an influencer. I'm not trying to, you know, I don't want to be one of these, you know, fitness influencers or anything. My reason for I Will Thrive is basically to tell my story, show my positivity, share some of my energy, and hopefully inspire, even if it's just one person, to share their story, get up, get out of bed. Sorry. Know that, you know, that life continues. You know, you can sit there and you can mope around, you can get told no, but at the end of the day, you're the only one that's going to suffer. So I Will Thrive. It's like, I will not just survive in life. I'm going to thrive too. I'm not just going to, you know, sail the waves. I'm going to go full steam ahead. And that's what I try and tell, you know, I wake up in the morning and I will thrive. I am a thriver. I'm surviving and I'm thriving. And this is what I want to give people. I want people to thrive with me.
Love that.
You're one of us.
There's a whole group, everyone is a thriver of life, whether it's
in
doing something big. Yeah, in anything in life.
One of my big points of it is, listen, it doesn't matter if you've suffered a brain tumor at 6 years old. It doesn't matter if you've been run over by a golf buggy. It doesn't matter if you're having a bad hair day. Depending on how that affects you mentally and physically, you know, we're all suffering in the same way. Everybody's suffering is, you know, individual to them.
Definitely. So here's my next question. What is your biggest and proudest achievement?
Wow, that's a big question. My biggest and proudest achievement. I try and be proud of myself every day. And that's not to big myself up, but I'm still learning about what my body can and can't do. And I'm only just learning to have therapy on it and actually use it. And every day I try and be proud of myself. So, when I first ran my first 5K run, I was so proud. I was so proud. When I learned to basically, I kind of forgot my past because I hit my head. So I basically forgot to do a lot of the things that you would learn to do as a child. So ride a bike, swim. I was playing piano. I forgot how to read music. Lots of little things that you think of. And I remember that, the first time I learned to ride a bike again and how proud I was of myself for riding a bike. I think I was 20 when I relearned, or 21 when I relearned to ride a bike. And right now I'm actually, I forgot how to swim. So right now I'm actually undertaking swimming lessons. And I've conquered the breaststroke. I'm still a bit scared on the front crawl, but we'll get there.
And who knows, you could be doing a triathlon at some point, swimming, cycling, and running. Imagine.
Yeah, if you're by my side, Ant, then for sure.
I would not write that off. I reckon it could be even doable.
Probably. We could do it. I could do it.
We'll do another podcast in a few years and you'll be like, yep, I'm triathlon champion now.
For sure.
So the person who was driving the golf buggies, did they get in trouble for what they did?
No, not really. It was a lady who was my friend, and she went back to her home country and disappeared, basically. She was arrested at the time, but she was released because she was of a different nationality. And when she went back to her country, I couldn't afford to find her again. She did send me a Facebook post, like a notification a few months later, to say how sorry she was.
Yeah.
But obviously my mental state at the time was not there, and it's taken me a long time to, it was a major part of my life. It's a major part of who I am now. And it's taken me probably the last 12 years to be at peace with the whole situation. I had a lot of resentment. I had a lot of hate. You changed my life and you did this. And that's kind of what led me to create I Will So Thrive, because you can spend your life blaming other people for stuff. You can blame, spend your whole life. They made me do this. They made me do that. You need to take responsibility of your reactions to these
and stop blaming others.
Yeah. And once you stop blaming people and moving on and looking at how you are able to adapt your mentality in order to get the best out of life, then you're winning. Then you're a thriver.
100%, definitely. So my next question is, what is some of the biggest obstacles you have faced and how have you overcome them? What has been the most challenging thing for you, do you think?
Learning how to do my hair.
That sounds like such a simple thing, but
such a simple thing. Yeah. Like so many people take it for granted. Like relearning little things is, you don't understand how challenging, like using hair curlers can be or braiding when you've only really got the use of 2-3 fingers max. And it's growing. Doing in the gym, for example, like a lot of the things in the gym are built for able-bodied people. It's the grips on wide enough to be comfy enough, to actually hold on to. You have to try and find other equipment or utensils that you can use that make it adaptable for you, rather than the equipment just being able for everyone to use. Even like using a knife and fork, these minimal things in life, it's been really challenging to figure out how to relearn how to do them in a different manner. It's been quite difficult and also quite embarrassing, to be honest. you know, like if you're out and I can give you like an example. The other month we did some training at work, and it was a small training group, and there was an instructor, and I said, can I use the laptop because I find it easier to type. And they said, no, we're not really going to bring in laptops, so you bring a notebook and a pen. And I can't really write, to be honest with you, anymore. Like, it's just something I can't do. Like, I can do a little bit, but then, you know, it stops my hand stops working, it fatigues. And I just remember having to ask a colleague of mine and say, I'm really sorry, but I can't write anymore. Is it okay for you to take over? And at that point, I remember how little I felt. Not that I was made to feel that way, but the fact that I had to hold my hands up and say, listen, I can't do it. And it's, you know, a basic life task. So that's quite an obstacle for me, is like, because I'm trying to be highly independent, but sometimes you do just need to say, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I really, really, really struggle with that. I'm fiercely independent, and I try and say no to everyone helping me, but it's sometimes you got to do it.
Definitely. I'll give an example with me, especially yesterday I went to a running race.
Yeah.
But one thing I struggle with is tying shoelaces. So every time I have to go to a running race, I have to find a random person and be like, sorry, but can you tie my shoelaces for me? And I hate asking randomers to tie my shoelaces. It makes me feel like a little kid.
Yeah.
But I need it to be done.
Of course. Of
Yeah,
course.
that's
But
one of those struggles.
But you don't, you know, you and I are laughing about it now because we're both going through it. But, you know, we're used to it. We've done it for a while now. But, you know, back in the day, in the beginning, when, you know, first of all, mental health wasn't talked about that, you know, that widely, you know, you couldn't really explain to someone what a negative impact that has on your mental health as an adult, as a grown man, to go up to someone else and say, hey, will you tie my shoelace? You know, you don't really, there's no really help out there for someone to help you mentally with that scenario.
That's very true as well. Yeah.
It's difficult unless you finds, you know, a group of people that, you know, all go through similar things, that we can all support each other. And that's what you're doing.
Create a cult.
Yeah.
Create a group.
Well, I'll always tie your shoelaces for you, Anne.
Oh, thank you. We'll do it one day. We'll go running one day.
Absolutely.
So what would you say to somebody that feels they are unable to reach their full potential because of their disability?
Well, I felt like this for a very long time, and I think the first stage is acceptance. I think it took me a long time. You know, I hid my scars. I didn't actually seek too much help with, you know, getting better rehabilitation because I was kind of embarrassed. And I didn't want to accept that I needed the help. And I think the first step of reaching your true potential is actually accepting that you are disabled and you have a disability. Whether that be, you know, any disability, whether it's a visible one or not, you've got to accept the fact that that's you. And once you've accepted the fact that you have the disability, then the world is endless, because there is a wealth of support, whether it's other people like yourself, whether it's information online, whether it's following, you know, some of the disabled athletes, the adapted athletes that we have, you know, all over Instagram. You know, there's so much wealth of support, and I think that the first thing you need to do is accept that you have this disability, and then actually say, do you know what, I do need the support. And once you've accepted that and you've reached out for the support, I really think the world's your oyster, because even though in the initial instinct, you know, you're really embarrassed about it, there's so many people that are willing to help you and willing you to succeed in life. And I think that you have to take the first step yourself in order to make that happen. No one's going to do it for you.
Definitely. And that's why I love the adaptive fitness community, because for all my life, I'd say I would never admit I had disability. I would reject it. I hated who I was. I would do everything in my power to go against it. And it wasn't until probably the last few years that I've kind of got into adaptive fitness, adaptive CrossFit, and started showing what I do. The first thing, when I started posting on my social media, I would hate posting stuff about myself on social media for worried what people will think or watch. But the more I did it, the more people enjoyed it and kind of supported and spurred me on to achieve things. So the thing is, don't be shy and embarrassed of who you are. Show who you are and what you can do, and people will support you all the way.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, listen, I'm just joined this adventure. I am very new to this world. I don't have that many followers yet. Like, I am just creating this platform that will hopefully, inspire people. But the adaptive fitness community I found just from that one event that we met at, like, it's full of incredible people. And, it is embarrassing to post and share your story with the world, but you never know who you can help or who can help you. And it's incredible that there's all these people that are willing to do so.
Definitely. And that's why it's another good reason for getting this podcast going, is because it's a platform to share everyone's stories and try and get it out there and help as many people as we can. So if people want to connect with you, how can they find you?
Well, my handle on Instagram is at IWillSurthrive. You can also add my personal, which is Kaye.Natasha. And you can reach out. I will always answer any questions. Also join any fitness groups you've got going. I'm willing to try anything.
Amazing. So guys, if you want to follow Natasha's journey or get in touch with Natasha, follow her on Instagram with I Will Thrive. I love that name. So survive, but thriving while surviving.
Absolutely.
So give her a follow. Watch her journey. It's been great to chat to you today, Natasha. I'm sure we'll go out soon and we'll go and do one of those 5K races together. And yeah, we'll go and smash it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Anne.
I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.